Welcome back, everybody. We have another episode of the Suited Kings podcast today. Max is literally looking at me right now as if he is some sort of zombie, and I don't know how
I
to
feel
feel
like a
about it.
zombie.
You know, I don't know what that look was, but you're going to the Bahamas tomorrow,
I am. You
correct?
know what that look was though, Wes? Before we get into the Bahamas, that was
I
the
am
look of
curious.
500 milligrams of caffeine just injected into my body.
Would you actually say that that's a close estimate to what you've had today?
Pretty accurate, yes. Very
Damn,
accurate,
so
as a matter
like
of fact.
5 cups of coffee.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. I mean, yeah, it's roughly 5 cups of coffee. Yeah. I mean, you know me though. I've been up for we're recording this around noon.
Yeah,
And
which for me is like probably what 8 a.m. is for most people. This
yeah,
is like the
so
first
yeah,
the first real thing I've done today.
I've been awake for 5 hours already. So
Yep. Yeah.
anyways, Wes, I want to start this episode with something different today. Thank you for doing the
Okay.
introduction, but I just want to say I think it's time that we have this discussion because it's been a long time coming. It truly has been a
I'm
very long time.
curious. I don't know where it's going.
I don't think you're gonna like where it's going. Well, I'll
Oh
preface it
boy.
with that.
Okay.
But I think it's time to discuss which suited king is the better poker player.
Max, what can I even say? I mean, you are clearly the better poker player.
Yes,
How about we just end the discussion?
uh, enough said. All right, guys, and on to the outro
Yep.
credits. I will. You know what, Wes? I'm gonna bail you out here. I'm gonna bail you out on this one,
You
even
are
though
go,
you're.
go ahead. Go ahead.
The listeners can tell by the shitty tone in your voice that you're
It's
full of it. Wes and
do
I
they
had a side bet. Wes, go ahead and describe it.
so as you guys know, we sometimes have our side bets, the final table bets and the big events around where we live. This one we did a bet for the leaderboard of an online tournament series, and as usual, we did a dinner, which we you and I both owe each other a dinner right now. But the other
Yeah,
thing that you suggested we add on to this is whoever loses has to go on the podcast and say that we are that. So I had to say, because I lost, that Max is the better poker player,
I will
and
say
Max
that
is
that
being
was
a
one of the most.
true
The second I
true
locked that
gentleman
bet
right
up,
now by allowing me to explain, because even though, yes, I mean, you could hear it in my tone, although to be fair, no one would believe I would actually just come out and say it without context. I was just ready to shut up and move on, and, you know, would have been some interesting feedback, perhaps.
the way you said it though, I don't feel like your side of the bet was fulfilled. We'll leave it at that. But it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, I had some spitefulness in my voice. There was it probably came across like I was under some sort of gunpoint,
Yes, exactly.
whether
That's
real or
exactly
metaphorical.
under the gun. Wes, just to make myself feel a little bit better before we move on, I will say that this is the second leaderboard bet we've made, and the second time you have lost.
That is true. Dude, I was even the other one though, like, I didn't sweat. This one, I every opportunity was playing, and I think I only got
You played more
4
events than me for
cashes.
sure.
I did. I got in the PLO street. I got my best run was I think I got 3rd in this PLO 8 tournament. It just didn't have enough people to really, bump my point total up to
To
the point that yours was at.
And to be fair, on the first series tournament bet we did, I won event number one. So like you're just kind of
You
in the
did.
dust. I
Well,
was
this one too, though, you final tabled something mere hours after we decided to make the bet.
Did I? I don't even remember that.
Didn't you final table something on the first day? And because I know you jumped out,
I want to
and it
say
was
we were both
always
dust for the first couple days, but maybe that's wrong. It's been a few weeks now, so I don't truly remember.
I could be wrong. Another thing I'll say, which people might find funny, is after the last day of that series, I literally not only did I take a 3-week break from this site, I actually self-banned myself for 2 weeks because I was so frustrated and I felt like I needed to even like sort of regardless of those results that I needed to do more studying. And so I only I only played like a couple other tournaments here and there, like our meetup game.
Yeah.
Um, but then I
Speaking of
finally
meetup
got
game, we
back
have
in
one
there.
tonight as we
We
record
have
this.
one tonight. obviously, when you guys hear this, it will have already happened, but we have our meetup game tonight, and, yeah, when you're listening, I will be the new champion, obviously. I have won 4, 3.5, I guess.
I think I'm also at 3.5.
Y we That's actually true, like, we both have won,
We both have
uh
4 with an asterisk.
yes, because we've each won a three-handed tournament, and
Well, yeah, anyways, there's a bug with the software that, stopped people from being able to enter the tournament. Anyways, that's been resolved, so no problem there, but where was I going to go with this? Oh yeah, before we have an awesome topic today. It's going to be on bet sizing, which I think is one of the most crucial skills to build in poker. Is knowing bet sizing, and obviously that's like whether we're extracting value, whether we're bluffing, all of those good things. I'm very excited to get into that topic. But before we do, why not just toot our horns a little bit more and just talk about like it's been a huge, huge month for both the Suited Kings boys.
yeah.
You had
Yeah, I
your
guess 2 months for me, and then
roughly 2 months for me as well.
yeah,
You got second in the Fall Poker Classic main
yeah.
for
Well,
60 or
third this time, yeah.
third for 60K, I believe, right?
Yeah, 3rd for 64. I got 2nd in the Run Good main in Iowa for 39, essentially 40K.
So that's
You
over
got
100K right there. That in a month. That's insane, dude. Super hyped for
That's
you. Because
pretty
I mean,
nice.
and this is right after right before and right after you took a little break to do some studying and improve yourself.
Yeah, what's
Actually,
interesting is I
both were
actually
after, right?
that happened in between. So I actually had the 3rd place. I had the 64K, and then I took the break a few weeks later
Okay, that's what
because I just online, I just was not getting it done, I
yeah.
felt like, and
We've discussed the importance of breaks a lot on this podcast, but what have you had any others? So I mean, that's over 100K right there.
yeah, I mean, so the break was really from online. Live, there were a couple of tournaments I played around here where no, I mean, I had one other essentially min cash off of 5 bullets, but
Huge.
so no, that was not it was just those 2, and then you had 3rd place at the MSPT for 51K. You
Yep.
had the chop where you were at a significant, it was like the six-way chop where you were actually at a big chip disadvantage. You ended up getting 13.5K
14.3.
when 14.3, sorry, and then which is like double what you might have otherwise gotten.
Yeah, roughly double for sure. Yep. And then this last Sunday, I ended up,
Yeah.
um, or just a couple days ago, as we record this, there's that Club WPT Gold site that's I haven't played too much on there, but it's a sweeps coins online platform. It came about roughly a year ago, just under a year ago now. I hadn't really played too much, hadn't had any scores on there. I do enjoy their Sunday. It's a I want to say it's a 110,
Now
200K.
it's an 82, I think.
Well, that was just for Black Friday. So
Yeah, but they've changed other tournaments to 82. Like
from my understanding, they had like a 25% off buy-in for Black Friday. That's why it was 82.
okay, that's fair. I guess it just extended to last night because I got 6th in the one tournament I played on there
Yeah,
last night, and it
yesterday
was
was
an
Cyber Monday,
82.
so I think they still.
That's fair.
Anyways, I might be wrong. I think what was going on with that. But anyways, I played that tournament a bunch. Surprisingly, I've done very well in that tournament. I've gotten top 30 a handful of times in that tournament. But on Sunday, I got fifth out of 3,700 and some odd entries for a cool 10,200 bucks off $82 buy-in. So
Yeah,
that
that's
was super
crazy.
exciting. I love winning piles of cash laying in my bed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So
It's
another yeah, I mean, the point is
been
yeah,
a hot.
we've
It's
done
been a
well
hot
the last
couple months, and I will say
and by
that
the w
let me just finish this thought. Is that
go ahead.
like we on this podcast we are very open about our downswings, but we're
Mhm.
also going to be open about our upswings, our good runs. So it feels good to let some of these out and hit some scores, especially when we haven't had anything massive earlier this year.
Yeah, like, combined, you and I are probably up 180K in the last 6 or 7 weeks, which is pretty insane to think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Especially when, like, of 64K is a big score, but it's not that big of a percentage of 180K. So, like, the fact that we're up that much combined over a course of several big scores is pretty great.
Mhm, mhm.
The last thing I was gonna say is, so after and I'm still not grinding online hard, but I have played 2 sessions plus, I guess, 2 tournaments late last night, and the first session, I had a 1st and 2nd. I won the clubs 110 on Sunday. I had another
Oh, congrats.
2nd,
What'd
and
you get
then
first and last night?
nothing. So last night, nothing. I got 6th in that 82 on WPT for a little under 2K. But no, on Sunday, I won the 110 on clubs. Again, guys, use the link in the description. Sign up on clubs. Literally softest tournaments you'll ever play.
Help
I'm not
support the
even kidding about
podcast by
that.
signing up using that link, though. We appreciate
Help
that.
support the podcast. Yeah. And Global they've like renamed some tournaments. They got rid of one. They got a new one. Anyways, on Friday, I got first in their 110. I think it's called a warm up, and then third in the 77, which is called the Magnificent.
Yeah, the
They got rid of the
magnificent.
super, and now they have the
Wait,
Magnificent.
the super's gone?
Super's gone.
No.
I mean, I haven't seen it the last 3 times I logged in, so
That's
that was
that's
good.
that's my soldier salute to the super. As we've discussed on this podcast many times over the years, that was like my baby, man. That's what
Mhm.
that tournament was like my bread and butter. I can't believe that's gone. I haven't been playing at all online apart from Sundays as we,
Yeah.
approach as I've
Yeah.
been busy with work and approaching the child, my son being born. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
for
well
sure.
this podcast is it's going. So let's get
It's already
into
going. Have we even mentioned what we're talking about today?
I did bring up what we're talking about. It's probably time to get into that. But I will say one last thing before we do. Shout out to you and actually every other listener who's going out to the WPT at the Win for
Mhm.
their championship series, for the Prime, for the 10K, for whatever events you're playing out there. I just want to wish you all huge good luck. You especially, Wes. As before we were recording this, I was just saying like it truly is an incredible series out there, and it's so well ran, and there's so much excitement surrounding. It's just so much fun playing the Win, and I will not be able to play that. But the good news is I won one of those Bahamas packages, so I'm actually heading out to the Bahamas with my wife. I'm gonna play their circuit championship event. Um,
Mhm.
and hopefully both can just come back with another pile of cash and end this year just on a high note,
Yeah.
real
Could you
high.
imagine? I'm actually this weekend before I head out, I'm playing the MSPT
Oh,
right in
yes, the
town here, so
MSPT main at Running Aces this weekend. Shout out! So I will not be playing that, which is painful because that is probably my favorite MSPT stop of the year. But a big shout out and good luck to everybody who's going to be firing that here in Minnesota at Running Aces. If you guys aren't familiar with the MSPT Running Aces stop, it is going to be the last MSPT stop of the year. It's kind of the finale. We got um, our past guest and great friend Umit fighting for Player of the Year with Jacob Long. Both
yeah,
incredible
fighting
players.
for his 3rd straight.
Did you, yeah, going for back to back to back Player of the Years? Did you also see that Jacob Long won 4 MSPT gold cards in one series?
I did not see that, that's
I
insane.
couldn't every morning I woke up, it was just another win, another win, another win. And these weren't small fields. I mean, these were 100 plus player fields.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, so that actually boosted him into the lead over Umit, and now they're both going into the final stop. I mean, I would not be surprised to see them absolutely blast, way to try and bag a
Oh,
pile here.
I mean, at this point, there's 1 stop left, like, they
That's
have to
it.
do it.
That's it. So, let's talk about some bet sizing.
Let's do it. So, yeah, guys, today we're gonna talk a little bit about some bet sizing and sort of the what and but more so the why. Why do we maybe take different bet sizings? And I think now in this episode, we aren't going to be looking at solver stuff, but if you do, sometimes you'll see a spot where it's like, oh, the solver has like 5 different sizes we sometimes use, and like it mixes between them and blah blah blah.
It gets convoluted.
Useless. Honestly, like, you can simplify your strategy so much to where, like, on any given flop, you only use this one size or maybe maximum 2. Like, you have a big size and a small size, right? And, you want to Granted, any bet size will have some pros and cons, right? Like on any given board, it's like, oh, the smaller we bet with value, the more likely we get called, and the bigger we bet, the more we get paid when we are called. And then with bluffs, it's like, well, if we bet bigger, they fold more, but if we bet small, it's cheaper when we lose. So there's always pros and cons, but we'll kind of look at different types of boards, and based on all the different hands that could be in our opponent's range, we figure out what's going to do the best work for us essentially.
I like the way you worded that. Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot. So it's like, yeah, all right. Well, let's get into some examples here. I have so much I want to say about it, but this is actually going to be great because it'll be a warm up for me as we approach these tournaments here in December, and I get to learn from Wesley Cannon while doing this
Oh, I
podcast.
mean, what could be better?
My own personal. This is the thing. I was like, I'll do a podcast with you. It's just free coaching. Why not?
Man, just over and over. I mean, you should play some heads up with me there.
Oh, here
You
we
can
go.
even win and you
Here
get
we go,
coached.
dude. Once you beat me in a leaderboard bet, we can discuss.
Okay, that's slightly fair.
All right, let's get into it. What do you got for me?
Yeah, so we'll keep it kind of just basic. We'll start with a spot like low jack versus button. We'll say 50 big blinds effective. We open in the low jack, big blind calls. We'll talk about a few different types of flops here and what different bet sizes might accomplish.
You said we're opening from low jack or button, and then the big blinds calling. Did I
So,
understand that correct?
low jack and then big blind calls.
Okay, I thought you said button there a bit ago. Maybe you did. Anyways,
Anyways, yeah. So we're looking at so first off, and this is important too, our opening range should include like all broadways, suited and offsuit, all pairs, all suited aces, a lot of suited kings down to king 5 or king 6
I
suited.
love it.
Shout
Do you
out
want
if you're feeling a little frisky, just
the
throw all the
suited
suited
kings?
kings in there
I
if you
call them the
want to
Josh
shout
Reichert
out.
specials. But anyways, do you want to just quickly explain for the people who aren't too familiar with positions where the low jack is located?
Yeah, so the low jack it's at the poker table.
It's 4 positions back from the button,
Yeah, so it's
or
essentially
3
middle.
positions back, right? Low
Yeah,
jack,
if
hijack, cutoff button.
Yep. So if you were playing six-handed, the low jack is under the gun, is
Yep.
another way
Yeah,
to.
there you go.
So it's like, yeah, you're nine-handed, three players fold. And the opening range, yeah, so you'll have like all those hands I said, plus some suited connectors down to like 6-5 suited. You'll have some like, king 8 suited, queen 8 suited, jack 8 suited, 10-8 suited, 9-8 suited, 9-7 suited. And then obviously like the better ones, jack 9 suited, queen 9 suited. That sort of stuff. Ace 9 off would be the worst offsuit hand, the only non-Broadway offsuit hand. And the reason it's important to get the pre-flop range right is, like, if you are opening too wide, and this is we're talking all theory and not really about exploits right now. Obviously, the exploits, they're more of a you thing, like, we can't really teach that as well, but we can teach you what to do if you have a certain read, right? Um So this is generally the range we want to open with. Um, if your table's really passive, go a little wider. If your table is full of players who are better than you, maybe tighten up a little bit. But the point of this is not to talk about pre-flop ranges. It is about bet sizing. And so let's say we open big blind calls and we get a flop of, we'll call it Jack 7-3 rainbow. So
Pretty dry.
you could say it's kind of dry.
There's
However,
a lot of gutters.
there are a lot of gutters, and they are all to the nutter. Can you believe
That's a
that?
great point. A lot of gutters to the nutters. Yeah. So Jack 7-3, you said?
Yep.
So 4, 5, 5, 6, 8, 9, 9, 10. All hands that
Mhm.
would
Yeah, and
probably
jack 9 and 7-5,
and
and by
Jack
the
9,
way,
7,
these
5. Yeah.
are big blind can fold or call with 7-5, like, these are all hands they can have, offsuit and suited. So and
Okay.
by the way, I'm not folding 7-5 off in the big blind here,
I'm not either.
like, unless the
Depending on
open
how
is
deep
really
we
big.
are, but yeah. Yeah. Most of the time I'm not.
Yeah. And so this is where it's interesting because I think a common thing for people to do is to see bet kind of smallish, maybe medium on this flop. However, this is one where we actually want to go big more often
Really?
than not. Yep.
Okay, that's
And
interesting.
so the idea here, and by the way, guys, I actually am going to make a Patreon video about bet sizing and use some of these examples. We will be looking at the solver in that. So if you are interested in getting more in depth, check that out.
Yeah.
That
You
should
can
be out by the time this episode is.
you can
But
find that
we're
in the, you can find a link to join the Patreon in the show notes wherever you're listening to this as well.
you can, and we appreciate all the support from those of you who are already members. But we will. So we'll be looking at this sort of thing more there. But essentially, what the solver tells us is yes, there are a bunch of bet sizes that will be profitable with various types of hands. But if we are to only use one bet size on this flop with our whole range, it is going to be pot size bet. And so we, and
Why
if we choose
pot
a,
size, right? You said pot size?
yeah, so if we choose pot size, the overall EV of our range here is about the same as if we had all those mixed strategies. And if we give ourselves, we can look at what might change if we also have like a 40% size, but we'll just use the one bet size for now.
Does it
And
matter what our hand holding is?
well, yes and no, right? So like what I guess the point I'm saying is if we are only going to pick between check or one specific bet size, betting full pot here is that optimal size. Even though like having a mixed strategy is technically like slightly better. Um, if we are to use one size, pot is optimal. Now that's not to say every individual hand wants to do that. Like here's what happens. A hand like pocket jacks, top set, we block all their strongest hands.
Yeah, we hate that because yeah, exactly. We
So what we'll see with that sort of hand is if it's choosing between pot and check,
checking.
we check and do some betting. But if we have an option to bet smaller too, jacks want to bet small, right? But what we will also see is a hand like so how about I'll ask you,
Okay.
what hands do you think benefit the most from a large bet like this?
The
We'll
hands
start
that
with
benefit the
value.
most are the ones that I would say that, it's a good question. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I would say the first things that come to mind are hands that have pairs, but are that hands that we want to deny equity with.
Sure, yeah. So like we I guess yes and I would kind of say yes and no there because a lot of that's going to be a lot of stuff because of the gutters, but
Right.
I would say it's more so like just the strong value, right? Like if we have queens, kings, aces, king, jack, ace, jack, we're ahead of almost all of our opponent's hands.
Hmm.
They're never going to have overpairs to the jack because they would have three bet pre-flop. They're going to fold a lot of the hands that flop two pair. They'll have the suited varieties, um, and then obviously a couple sets. But like
But don't
if we
we?
have
How
something,
are we going to kill our value against those gutters?
well, no. So and this is where, um, yes and no depends on how you look at it, right? If we have a jack, sure, like we kind of would prefer to get value from a gutter. But if we have a bluff, like let's say we have queen nine suited here,
Hmm.
a hand like 5-6 has like 40% equity against us. So we actually prefer a hand like that to fold.
Right. No. Yeah. So let me explain, I guess, what hands I would bet big with here and what kind of hands I would bet smaller with. And this might be controversial to what you're kind of stating, but just kind of and this is a learning experience, right? So I can be
Yeah.
wrong
Well, we
here, but
can and we can look at that too. Like I'm sorry. So anyways,
yeah.
continue your
So
thought.
hands I would bet bigger with are hands that I would just like to end the pot there with. For example, so it's Jack 7-3, right?
Mhm.
Say I had 5-4 suited. I would size up. I would size my C bet up with this hand. Say I had 8-9 suited. I would size up with hands like this. And then for the reason is because with those hands specifically, it's because um, I can oftentimes double barrel with those hands, and then I'll start getting second and third pairs to fold. Um,
So here now, and this is where your poker experience comes into play. That is a great strategy if second and third pair folds.
right,
It's not supposed to, even to full pot.
right. Right, and
Um,
that's and I'm going to right. I'm going to change this strategy based on who I think my opponent is.
yeah, so, like, what I'm saying is we start with theoretically, um yeah, but I mean, like, we are talking about betting big. So I guess, like, how would you you're kind of expressing, like, you would wanna take these sort of bluffs and bet big. Would you also do so now, are you saying you would also do so with value, or would you be kind
Well,
of
let me first off mention by with those same hands I mentioned, those kind of gutter suited gutters that I have. Um,
yeah.
I also would rather size those up because I'm wanting to not allow my opponent to float me with non-paired hands. So I give them less incentive to float with those hands.
Mhm.
That's one reason with those. Now, say I had an overpair or ace jack here, and whether it's correct or incorrect, it sounds like it's incorrect. I typically would probably go, I'd lean somewhere towards small to medium just so that I can extract value from those gutters. Maybe that's incorrect. Maybe they're calling anyways, but I guess that's kind of where I lead to,
Yeah, well,
intuitively.
you could be onto something in terms of your strategy. However, the thing is, like, that is very exploitable, which is and to be clear, totally fine to be exploitable in poker, like,
I
our
just want to
goal is
remind
to
people that we play low to mid stakes mostly. So like, it's hard to. Yes, I can get exploited, but most of the players types I'm playing against are not exploiting me.
yeah. And on the other side, I would say the reason that the benefit to betting large with those hands is if your opponent has a 7, if they have a worse jack, you just get more chips when you do size large there.
I do
Um,
agree. I mean, especially against sticky play. So if I know this, like, my game is more of like a water than like it's the Bruce Lee, right? Like I'm such
okay.
an opponent. I'm
Alright.
such an opponent dependent player. My strategy will literally change. Like I don't have like a baseline strategy that like I follow oftentimes. I do have a baseline strategy. I shouldn't say that, but it I, I oftentimes will adjust my sizings based specifically on the opponent I'm playing, whether I think they're sticky or not. So if I'm playing
Yeah.
against like old man coffee who I know just loves the game and loves just call, I'm always just going to size up with even my second pairs. Like
Yeah. No, that's fair.
yeah,
Um,
we're not talking exploits here. I understand that. So let's get
yeah.
back on
Well,
topic.
we are and we aren't, right? Like, I guess the point is we sort of and by the way, like, betting large or small with a top pair like that, it's probably of similar value in the long run. It's more so like, I think for a lot of players, one thing that allows us to give away tells is when we start, like, overthinking our bet sizing too much,
Yep.
and if we can just have say, "Okay, this is the board. This is the type of board we have. Is this a big or small? Like, should I generally bet big or small?" And so maybe instead of talking about specific hands, like, the reason that Jack 7-3, we want to bet big and by when I say we want to, I'm saying, like, the reason it might be better to lean towards a big sizing here is because there are so many gutters, and even a subtle change, like, if it's Jack 7 deuce, suddenly it's a small size because all the 6-5, you know,
There's
was it
just a
6-5,
small amount of gutters.
6-4, and
Yeah.
5-4?
It
I think
cuts
I
them in
said 6-5,
half
but
essentially, right?
yeah, there's so many more auto folds on that board. And so when we're deciding on a bet size, it's going to be so much easier to just sort of like make these general assumptions or general thoughts like, okay, do they
I
have a lot of hands that can just snap fold?
yeah.
And the more you lean towards yes there, the easier it is um to use that small
I
size.
like your idea of keeping it simple here. Let's should we just kind of go over a bunch of positions slash board textures?
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely some board textures, and then we can, like, very quickly say why
Yeah.
we lean towards big or
All right.
small.
Well, let me test you on a hand then.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're gonna switch it up. We do a lot of like late position versus button stuff.
Okay.
Let's get a little more interesting here. So under the gun opens
Mhm.
and we three bet in
Okay.
late position.
I
Um,
like it.
and it folds back to under
We'll
the
say
gun.
cutoff, just cut up, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So under the gun versus cutoff. So under the gun opens, we three bet cutoff, folds back to big under the gun who calls, and the
And
flop.
how deep are we?
Well,
50 blinds?
yeah, I would. Let's just kind of give a baseline of deep 40 plus.
'Kay.
Um, yeah, we'll say 50 big blinds. So um, let's do something. Let's make this a little not as drive a board. Let's say something like. Give me a second to think about this. Let's do King Jack 7 with the King Jack of Hearts.
Okay. And so at the so he okay, that's a great example because guys, Max can see my hands, I'm not touching any solvers here, so I'm not cheating.
I'm glad you
Here's
mentioned solvers. Just kidding.
Yeah. So here's I'll explain how I would think about this in game, right? So let's say my 3 bet was to about 7 big blinds.
Yep.
So the pot is 14 plus the blinds, so 16.5, and we have 43
Yeah, they open
effective.
2.2, you three bet to 7.
Perfect. And we get king jack 7 with the king jack of hearts. And I'm not even going to say what my hand is right now because that's not even the if we're saying we should keep one bet size
Yeah.
with all our
It doesn't
hands,
matter, right?
it doesn't even
It's
matter.
either
I
bet
could
or
have
check.
I could have now I can choose I could choose to check some hands still, but, like but you're correct.
Can I guess your answer on this one?
Yes, and I'm choosing between a couple pretty close, but yeah,
Really?
go ahead and
Okay.
guess.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, that's good to know because I thought it was a little more clear cut, but my initial gut was you were going to go large.
I'm not when we 3 bet here, and not on the king high. Like, my thought here is
Oh yeah,
our
yeah.
opponent
Okay, 3 yeah, duh. I forgot I made it a 3 bet pot already. Jeez.
um,
Yeah, but 3 bet pots, like, typically, we always like and let's just clarify this. In 3 bet pots, our C bet sizing is generally gonna be smaller than in non 3 bet sizings. That's probably something good to clarify.
yeah, especially when we're in position, so which we mostly will be, right, when we
Okay.
3 bet. Um, here's my thought. So, I would go, like, between 4 and 5 big, so, like, quarter to a
Into
third, but
16 and
maybe
a half.
yeah,
Okay.
and maybe more like 4. Like, to be fair, I would and if it was like a live tournament, I would maybe tweak the sizing to what I think would feel the way I wanted it to my opponent, right? Like,
Yeah.
but overall, here's my thought. Like, we can have first off, we are mostly going to have something on this board, and if we don't, it's gonna be like if we have ace 5 of spades or something, that's our only real that sort of hand is our only complete whiff, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
We could have maybe an ace 10. Like, ace 10 suited probably calls, and I guess ace 10 off, we can do some flatting. No, against honestly, though, against under the gun,
We should be folding those hands, right? Not 3 betting them.
just flat I won't be 3 betting them. On button, we're definitely flatting, and then cutoff, I think we flat too, unless
Okay.
it's like a strong table. Um, so that is true. Like, my only pure 3 bets pre-flop here are gonna be, like, queens, kings, aces, ace, king, and then I'll have some mix like, I might 3 bet some, like, suited Broadway type stuff. Um, but yeah, in general, like I will have some top pair yeah, aces, kings, queens, ace, king. That will make up a decent chunk of what I have here. And then even if I have like some queen 10 suited, right? That's a draw. Ace queen. Even with ace queen, we really benefit from betting and getting like sixes or eights or something to fold.
Yeah, any pair on third pair or less worse to fold.
Yeah.
Do you
And we
consider
allow
yourself
ourselves to keep barreling.
to have range advantage on this board as the three better to an under the gun open?
Yeah, in the sense that I think they should.
You're gonna have more pocket kings and aces
Yeah. And ace king.
and ace king, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because they will have more stuff like, 9-8 suited, 10-9 suited, which 10-9 suited is a double gutter, but obviously is 10 high right now. They'll have more like ace X suited that just whiffs. Um, and they'll have more small pairs that just whiff too.
Okay.
So yeah, I think as a percentage of like they'll have king queen and we don't really. I just flat king queen.
Okay. So
But
let's just kind of
like as a percentage of their range, there will be more hands that miss. Yeah.
okay. So let's summarize this hand here a bit. So in three bet pots. We're generally just going to be sizing down our c bets. What is the what's our theoretical reasoning for this?
There's a smaller SPR. So the pot's 16 and there's 43. So the SPR is like 2.6 to 1 roughly, maybe
SPR, to
2.
those aren't familiar, is stack to pot ratio.
And that's a good clarification. Um and we so if we are to get all the chips in the middle by the river, it's going to be quite easy in terms of our bet sizing. And also because
That
the
what you
hands
just said is the reason, essentially.
that that's
That or
part
that's
of
kind of
it.
the takeaway, though. I mean, of what an SPR is, of
So
figuring out an
yes,
SPR.
that's the point of that's the whole SPR point. You're
Yeah.
correct. And then the in terms of the bet sizing, because they'll have hands like some pocket pairs that just have to fold even to quarter pot. And so if we
It's such a
granted a
win.
lot of our hands are gonna be value, but our if we were bluffing here, like ace five of spades, we really wanna get a hand like sixes or eights to fold.
Mhm.
And so we kind of wanna go the minimum size that gets those to fold, right?
Do you
Like
ever is there
if
a
we go
sp
2 big blinds, they can kind of set mine the turn profitably, but
let me ask you on the ace five suit. So we have our natural or like our premium three bet hands, and then our like the ace five suited. Say there's not even a spade, so you have no backdoor flush on the king jack seven. So it's just king jack of hearts, seven of diamonds. Are we ever just because we can get so many like baby pairs to fold? Are we always still just c betting? Is it always just three
oh,
bet
yeah,
c
yeah,
bet?
yeah, and I just said spades. I didn't even know if the 7 was a spade or not.
Right.
Like, just the ace 5 suited combos, the ace 5s and ace 4s,
Do we
and
have any
even
three
ace
bet
8 is
checks here, or is it pretty
I
much
don't
all?
think we I don't think we should. I think, yeah, like, they will have
Say we
all
have
those.
pocket tens or queens.
So, tens is an example of a hand the specific hand wants to check. Maybe, maybe not, right? Like, tens, if we bet and get called, we don't really love it, but also tens need the least protection, which is kind of what you're getting at with that is like, um, there are 2 overcards, so we're tens can easily be behind, but if we're ahead, we probably have quite solid equity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, even tens though, we just wanna bet here because what like, how are we gonna balance this? Almost every hand in our range
Wants to bet.
just benefits from
Yeah.
betting, right?
Yeah. Makes
And
sense.
yeah, like I think queens too is just good enough because they can have a decent amount of jack X, and then they can have all those like 10-9 suited, 9-8 suited. They can have hands with equity. And so when we get called with queens, we're not going to go for like all the chips, but we can still feel relatively good about our hand strength. And we also, I think king queen is their most likely king. So when we have queens, like
We heavily
that's
block
when we're
that.
least, yeah, when they're least likely to have
Yeah.
a king
Yeah.
in their hand,
Yeah, because
apart from when
we
we
can
have
kind of
one.
expect four bets from ace king a lot of the time as well. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
and kings, and then anything else, like king jack suited, or like king jack, king 10, king 9, they should be folding all the offsuit varieties of those preflops. So, like, king queen is um, and granted, even king queen off might fold pre, but, like, it would be, I think, very fair to call king queen off pre as well.
Yeah, especially in
So
live.
yes, right.
Um,
And
okay, okay. Do you wanna throw me a hand?
yeah, let's do it.
This is kinda fun.
And, should we I will say right now, I did just pull up the GTO wizard to see
Oh, here we
what it
go.
said.
Here we
And
go.
it Oh, yeah, and it said, like, the main size is quarter pot, and it sometimes uses half, but I'm sure if we, like, made it choose only one, um, which, uh which we can, like, I think quarter pot is just the way to go here.
Okay.
Um, alright, so you and we will choose. Okay, let's go with this. This will be an interesting one because this is actually something I learned a bit about recently. Um, Raise, we'll call it early position under the gun +1 and big blind calls.
Okay.
Ace king deuce rainbow.
Well, it's I'll start off by mentioning that we clearly have range advantage on this board. Um,
Mhm.
almost to the point where, like, I feel like we it seems like this will never be a three street hand because our range advantage is so strong. So, call me crazy here, but oh, man, I don't know. I mean, so in reality, I'm always betting tiny here. In but I will say that sometimes I might even just be checking here,
Okay.
going for a delayed double barrel.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think yeah, I think there's a part of our range that makes a lot of sense to check. Um, However, what if I told you that we should be doing some overbetting here?
I see. This is all very interesting to me, and very outside of my understanding. So I would love to hear why we would do something like that on a board like this to a big blind defend.
Yeah, I mean, so for value, like, we wanna get all the chips in when we have ace queen and ace
So
jack.
just hope that they have like a king or an ace.
Yeah.
I
Now
mean,
now
for
now
value
this is where
hands.
yeah, and this is where we look at what theory says to do and be like, "Okay, the reason we go big with the ace queen, for example, is to get value from the lower aces." Well, this is where you can adjust in real time too and be like, "I think my opponent, if I go huge, I just see some people fold, like, ace 4 off here." Obviously, if you think your opponent might fold an ace to an overbet, you
Is
don't
there
wa y
is there so I guess one reason I really like the small sizing is because oftentimes, I mean, enough times I'll not have it won't be value.
Mhm,
Say I just have like say I have like 9/8 suited or something like that. And I'm always just getting so many folds from the small sizing already that it
mhm.
just seems like such a profitable thing to keep it small there. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good thought process. So here, can I ask, if your opponent has an ace, like, just defended ace 5 off or whatever, how do you think they'll respond to pot size or slightly over pot?
They're going to be very uncomfortable, but I think they'll respond with a call at least one street. So
Okay.
I better be prepared to fire away. But
My
here's
my
the
other my other
Go ahead.
argument there, if you think they'll call, then you should definitely bet big with the ace queen, ace jack, right?
Yeah, if but I think it's very few and far between that they're going to call on this board is I guess my point. It's less likely. Am I wrong? Like you give me the eyes here. Like give
Oh,
me your
no, no,
thoughts.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, there's reasons for deviating based on player type for sure. Um, if their continues are few and far between, though, we don't really have to worry about that when we bluff, right? Like, the bluff is gonna work a lot, and then if they have hands they're gonna call with,
Then I'm
we
losing.
wanna
Then, but yeah, I guess right.
yeah. I guess to be clear, like, we if you think your opponent will just not really know like, if you think you can just exploit by, like, bluffing small and then going for big going big for value and they won't really pick up on that,
Mhm.
which granted, there are different boards where you might exploit by doing the opposite, right?
Mhm.
Um, kind of like the last board the Jack 7-3, you said you kind of lean towards big size with bluffs and smaller with the strong value.
Yep.
And then here you like small for bluff, which totally makes sense to me. And then I guess you haven't said you prefer big with value, but I'm saying like, well,
I
if they're
like
gonna
I like that, and I will say, I mean, I like that idea too. And I think that I could be missing value because of that, right? Like if I'm gonna get
and
called,
me too,
why
by the
not just
way.
size
Like,
up and get the most for it? You know what I
mhm.
mean? And but I guess my concern there, maybe this is the wrong way to think, is that when I am bluffing and I do get called, I'm just gonna lose so much more where I lose a lot less when I bet small and they're gonna fold so frequently. Do you understand my what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah. And so I guess the point is like every bet size is gonna have its pluses and minuses. And so like, do you want to and granted, like either small or big size is going to be profitable on this board, right? And
Okay.
so you're not we're,
It's not
we're
necessarily that
debating
it's wrong, but, like,
we're debating around the edge. Yeah, we're debating which one is slightly more correct is what we're debating. If
I
if
mean, the
you if
more
you told me you were gonna check 9-8 suited, I would be like, I don't like that at
I'm never
all.
checking
But
9/8 suited on this board. When we have
yeah.
such a range advantage, it's literally 100% c bet for me. I might dabble a little this over these next couple weeks and just start sizing up. Why the hell
Yeah.
not? Especially in
Why the
live, like, when people get sticky, like, I'm just gonna get value from and you know what? Like, exploit me, like, whatever.
well, and this is the beauty of it, is when we figure out what the quote unquote optimal sizing is, they actually can't if you were to do it perfectly, they actually cannot exploit you.
Can I also add to that that, like, when I'm playing with these people from out of state, like the sample size is going to be so small that they're not going to be able to recognize a pattern to exploit in the first place most of the time.
Absolutely. And so that's where you can take these sort of concepts and for on any given day, you can sort of mold your game into the most exploitative version of that,
Ooh,
right?
I like the way
And
that's put. Yeah.
yeah, and so like so if we and now I am pulling up what the solver would say in this spot. And it's like if you're choosing one bet sizing, it's pot size, but it actually does check some of the weaker ace X. It checks like queens, jacks, tens, some king X.
I also like there's so many ways we could discuss this hand, but I really like checking back weak aces here.
Yeah, because they're so not vulnerable, but they also don't want to get stacks in,
Yeah,
right?
that and also it's typically still just a two-hand street.
Mhm.
So let's get
Two
value on the
street hand. Yeah.
what's that?
Two street hand. You
What
said two hand street.
oh, did I?
Like,
Two
just
street.
I think they knew what you meant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That well, thank you for correcting me, but you are correct. Yeah, but it's not often going to be a three-hand street that for especially for value with the strength of our hand, right? Like, am I going to get called by a king for three streets? Maybe, but I'm not going to try. I don't want to try. I feel like I'm just going to value own myself too frequently if I'm going for that.
Yeah. The interesting thing is it also sometimes checks the hands like 10-9 suited, jack-9 suited. It's mostly betting them, but it is weird where it's like, in reality, I think I am just betting those hands pure. Like, I want to if I have 10-9 suited, I want queen-8 suited to fold,
Can
right?
I
Like,
say that sometimes, and I don't know what the rhyme or reason for this is. It's just like an intuitive thing. Sometimes I'll just check and then double and delay c bet.
the delay c-bet is effective too because it
It usually says I have showdown. Like it's not typically a bluff, right?
right, like and that's where balance comes into play is if you're playing this strategy, there's a give and take to every strategy, right? Like, if you decide to check back a hand like 10-9 suited on this board, yes, you are kind of uncomfortable because you're like, "Oh, I could have just bet 10 high and won the pot," a lot of times. But you actually are also repping some sort of strength in a way too, right?
100%. Yep.
And when you check back the ace 6 of diamonds on this board, you're not too worried about giving that free card the way you are with 10-9 suited. And so when you bet big on the turn, they're still gonna be if they have like a medium strength hand, they're still gonna be in that weird spot where they kind of know you're repping something that's beating them, but they also beat the bluffs, and so that's where it's like on any given board with any given hand, we can sort of not based on like a balanced strategy, but just in the moment, we can figure out like what are we trying to do. Like, what is our opponent's range? You know what? And I'm actually going to quote a former guest here. I don't know if he said this on the podcast, but he says it in his material. He's like, "What is my opponent's range, and what am I going to do about it?" Chance Corneth has said that,
Okay.
and that's really the way you want to think about all these spots. Is like on Ace King Deuce, it's like okay, they're going to have some 7-6 offsuit that auto folds, even if we put one big blind in, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But they're also gonna have some ace 8 offsuit that's gonna call at least one, they're maybe won't get stacks in, but they're going to call however much we put in on the flop. And then they'll have some king X and they'll have some jack 10 gutter, they'll have some pocket pairs. And so it's like, what do we want to accomplish with every bet? Like, if we make a bet, do we want pocket eights to call or fold on the flop? And if we make a bet, do we want a king, presumably we don't expect a king to fold to just one bet, but like how much do we think we can get from the king if we have a better hand? Do we think a king will fold by the river if we bet 3 times,
So I think this is probably one of the biggest takeaways our listeners should gather from this episode. It's don't just bet to bet because it seems like a good idea. Think about
Mhm.
what our opponent has and adjust your strategy according to that. And
Totally.
you may not know. I mean, we don't know what our opponent has, right? But by the position they're in, by the things we've seen ahead of time, we can start to construct that, and then by the way the board is, we can start to try and create a strategy based on what they could potentially have on that board.
Totally. And I thought of something that I think we hear players do this a lot, and I hear a lot of times kind of recreational players say something like, "Oh, I put you on this hand," or "I put you on whatever hand," in spots where it really doesn't make sense to put someone on a specific hand, where it's like, I was at the table and even I was like, "There's not enough info here to narrow it down."
Hmm.
And I think I would say, from our listeners, there are probably some of you that can relate to this where, like, you you want to put your opponent on a hand, and then you kind of just sort of lock in on, "Okay, so now I'm putting them on this hand. What do I wanna do?"
Yeah.
Right? And what I think a good takeaway for people aspiring to get better at their game is that even guys like us, heck, even and we aren't the best players in the world, but even the best players in the world are rarely putting their opponents on a specific hand. It's rather like, okay, these are all the hands that you would play this way up to this point. What is how can I play my hand in a way that is most beneficial versus the
What
the
our
whole
perceived
menu of
range is.
hands, the whole range,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that is honestly the actual art of bet sizing in a
Oh,
way.
wow, what a way to
Look at
wrap it
that.
up. Oh, man.
Isn't that
Was
beautiful?
that was just absolutely stunning, Wes. I'm proud of you for that one.
I know.
Awesome. So, I will say this has been a really enjoyable conversation. I feel like there's just um, a lot of questions and a lot of discussion on what's because I mean it's a subjective game we play, right? Some
Mhm.
things are more correct than others, but it's important that we dive in and just like thinking of our opponent's ranges, we ask, you know, all these same kind of questions in regards to why we're doing what. So I will say that, and Wes mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast, is that there will be an episode on our Patreon more in depth on bet sizing. Probably be actually using some of GTO Wizard in there. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think it probably won't be like an episode, but just a training video, right?
Right, a training video, not the full episode. But on top of that Patreon content, Wes and I are going to also be releasing. I screen capped or screen recorded the uh, the 200K final table run from this past weekend on Club WPT Gold, the 82 buy-in that I turned into 10K. So we're going to do a review of that on Patreon as well. So if you guys are not signed up for Patreon yet, it's a bunch of different tiers. We have, Wes, go ahead and spit out what they are for me.
Totally, yeah. Well, we have really 4 tiers plus a free one, right? And if you just sign up for Patreon for free, you will get our hand of the week. We release a hand every Friday that we analyze, and you will get a select couple videos here and there, but mostly you're just there for the hand of the week, and that which is available to everyone. The bottom tier, just the basic tier, you can get in and you will have access to, again, a select couple videos, hand of the week, but also our our bonus episode that we do every month. Some months we might do 2, we'll do at least 1 per month.
Yeah.
Um,
And that one's, how much is that one?
that is currently $3 a month. However, at some point, once it's filled up a little more, it will go to 7.
Get in now
Um,
so you can be grandfathered into that price.
exactly. And then we have the whatever the forgot what I even called it, but the training tier, the pro level acts. I don't remember what I called it. This is embarrassing. If you're in, this is where you have access to all training videos that we have made and that we will continue to make, right? And so there are 50 some in there right now. This is where whether it's we're reviewing my old hands, whether we'll review Max's final table run, or we'll review specific spots, some analysis, kind of open-ended too, and you guys can also always suggest new content. By the way, this whole bet sizing thing, Jack Jack in the Discord, he suggested this, and that's why I kind of thought of this episode.
Shout out to Jack
Um,
for that
so we
topic
got
idea.
some free material here, and then some additional training that will be posted, and the then there's like the tier where your additional benefit, the next tier up is you get a 2-hour group coaching session every month. That's the main benefit. And you will have access to, if I post a full like tournament review, like if I review a tournament I played online, you will have access to that too. Granted, I know there are a couple of those in the past that are available to the other study tier, but moving forward, those will specifically be for the
Cycle
coaching
DGen.
tier. Well,
Go
no,
ahead.
so that's the 50 a month tier. So the first training one, I think there's still a couple. I'm confusing you guys, I know. The one where you have access to the videos, it's still 15 a month, but soon will be 25 a month once we get a couple more people in there.
Again, just make sure to sign up now so you can be grandfathered into that cheaper
E-
price.
Exactly. And then the coaching tier is 50 a month. And then the psycho degen tier is 100 a month. And that's where you get the coaching still, you get everything from the other tiers. And then
I mean,
you
even
you
if
also
you also get a hoodie with the Psycho Degen. So you get
yes.
a $60 hoodie, then you get 2 hours of coaching and access to all of our content that we release, which is 50
Yes.
plus videos at this point.
And then the other benefit, because you don't get a new hoodie every month, you just get the one hoodie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
Now, what I am going to say is I think moving forward, we're gonna say anyone that should be maybe after 3 months of it. I don't know. You and I can discuss that, but the one extra benefit for the Psycho Degen tier moving forward is if you have a session online, or if you have a bunch of hands that you played live that you send to us, whether it's both of us or one of us individually, we will actually review that and post that in the Patreon, but it will only be available for people in that tier. So we will only review the hands of people in that tier, the sessions of people in that tier, and those reviews will only be available for the people in that tier as a little community. So,
Awesome, awesome. And again, this Patreon, guys, I know we're lingering on this, but it's if it's a great place to support, not only support the podcast, but improve your game at a very affordable price, depending on, we have all these different tiers for people who have different financial situations. So, yeah, make sure to, sign up for what's right for you. You can always cancel, and just
you
have
can always cancel. And genuinely what I want this to be and what I think I speak for both of us is our audience, I believe, is there's a lot of people who play poker somewhere in between recreationally and like aspiring to do so
professional.
professionally.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good, sort of a budget training tool, but also a way where you can be a part of the community. So like, yeah, we might not have everything that we certainly don't have everything that these training sites do. However, you can suggest, hey, I want to review this sort of spot, or I want to suggest my hand for hand of the week, or I want to get
Tailored
this
content. Yeah. 100%.
tailored content for you guys. And you get sort of direct access to myself and Max. So,
So, and you can hang out with us on break if you're a Patreon member.
yep, if you are paying the coaching tier of $50 a month or more, you may hang out with us on break and tournaments.
Uh, oh man, guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Just a couple quick reminders here. If you're not a part of the Discord yet, make sure to check that out. Link in the description to sign up for that. Every other Tuesday, we have our meetup game. We have one tonight, so the next one will be roughly middle of December. Wes, what's the date on that?
The 16th, and there's a chance I will be in Vegas still for that,
Okay.
which I
So
wouldn't be able to play then, but
yeah, but yeah, every 2 weeks we have a meetup game on Club. Sign up using the link in the description. Help support the pod. We greatly appreciate that. But I will say, it's if you just have that urge to just
urge.
blast off, to just punt, this is a safe place for you. This is personally where I go. This is my therapy. I just blast, and I love every second of it. So come blast with us in the meetup game. We love it. It's always been a great turnout, and typically somewhere between 500, 700 sweeps coins, redeemable for true cash dollars 1 to 1. So make sure to check that out if you're not already in there. And then also our Suited Kings hoodies, guys. It's winter, it's cold, at least up here in the north side of the states where Wes and I
Yeah,
are
some of
located.
you are all over the place,
And
but
and on top of that, I mean, most casinos you play in have the AC blasting. So if it is hot there, you still rock a hoodie inside. Support Tilted Compass. They're an incredible company that we've collaborated with. They're making Tilted Compass Suited King collab merch. Link again in the description for that. It helps support the pod. Plus, we love seeing you guys wearing the merch out in public. I definitely will make sure to say hi to you if I see you in one of those hoodies, and let you know that I think it's a great hoodie.
yeah,
So
oh, I love it. There's sometimes like when I was in Iowa, saw a couple Student Kings hoodies.
yeah, it's
And it's
it's awesome.
especially fun when we're not at our home casino, but
Yeah.
we love seeing it, and
Yeah.
we appreciate all the support from you guys.
It's been an
So,
incredible run so far, and we look forward to an awesome 2026. Hopefully, our next episode, um, I'll be a Bahamas champ, and you'll just be entering Vegas. So,
I'll be an MSPT champ.
yeah, you'll be an MSPT champ. That's even better. Maybe not even better, but damn
Maybe
good
not. We'll
second.
see. Yeah.
Anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you guys out on the felt here soon, and good luck.